pointless, endless bear. With regard to the issue of health care, we are now waiting for the Senate to act, this House having acted quite a while ago now. And I have to wonder why. Why are we waiting so long? What facts are different today, on this day in December, than were any different in November, were any different in October, any different in September, August, July? What can we do today that we could not have done then? I think the sad fact is nothing. Nothing has really changed. The fundamental facts are the same. Americans are still denied care every single day on the basis of pre-existing conditions, on the basis of reaching lifetime caps. There are still millions upon millions of Americans who have no health care coverage. There's a million who every year go bankrupt because of that. And there are thousands upon thousands who die every single month for the simple reason that they have no health care coverage. That's been true not only for this month, not only for last month, but for year upon year. And we Democrats in the House of Representatives, we took it upon ourselves with the political capital that you, the American people, have given to us. We took it upon ourselves to make that our priority once we had done what we could to steady the shaken economy. We delivered. We did what we needed to do. And we have waited and waited and waited for the Senate to do what it needs to do. Now, I pointed out here on this pedestal several weeks ago that the cost of delay is death. People die every single day, 121 of them, 122, every single day because they have no health care coverage in America. And I pointed out that there are people here in this chamber who are dead set against health care reform, even at the cost of the lives of their own constituents. I gave their names. I gave their numbers for how many people would die in each of their districts on account of our not passing health care reform. Now I think it's time to do the same for the obstructionists in the Senate, those people who think that health care reform doesn't serve their own purposes and they're therefore willing to deny it to their own constituents. This is not a case of one state opting out. This is a case of senators en masse deciding, one by one, that there will be no health care reform, not just for their states, but for all America. And so what I've done is I've created another list. This is a list of states and a list of those who die in that state, one by one, on account of there being no health care coverage, not once, but year after year after year. And now I propose to provide that list to you all. You'll be able to see it at our website later on today. In the state of Alabama, the number is 541 deaths each year. In the state of Alaska, 124 deaths each year. In the state of Arizona, 1,185 deaths each year. In the state of Connecticut, 326 deaths each year. In my state of Florida, an astounding 3,542 deaths each year. In Georgia, 1,640 deaths each year. In Idaho, 217 deaths each year. In Indiana, 727 deaths each year. In Iowa, 272. In Kansas, 329. In Kentucky, 609. In Louisiana, 800. In the state of Maine, 123 deaths each year. In Mississippi, 518 deaths. In Missouri, 714 deaths. In Nebraska, 216 deaths. In Nevada, 450 deaths. In New Hampshire, 132 deaths. In North Carolina, 1,424 deaths. In Ohio, 1,279 deaths. In Oklahoma, 550 deaths. In South Carolina, 693 deaths. In South Dakota, 88 deaths. In Tennessee, 883 deaths. And in the state of Texas, 5,857 deaths each year for lack of health coverage. In Utah, 342 deaths. In Wyoming, 69 deaths. And on it goes. And for those senators who have shown some reluctance or some lack of interest in health care reform, I'm going to provide your names right now to go with your states. In Alabama, I'm talking about Jeff Sessions. I'm talking about Richard Shelby. In Alaska, Lisa Murkowski. In Arizona, John Kyle and John McCain. In Connecticut, Joseph Lieberman. In Florida, George Lemieux. In Georgia, Saxby Chambliss and Johnny Isaacson. In Idaho, Mike Crapo and James Risch. In Indiana, Dick Lugar. In Iowa, Chuck Grassley. In Kansas, Sam Brownback and Pat Roberts. In Kentucky, Jim Bunning and Mitch McConnell. In Louisiana, David Vitter. In Maine, Susan Collins and Olympia Snowe. In Mississippi, Thad Cochran and Roger Wicker. In Missouri, Christopher Bond. In Nebraska, Mike Johans and Ben Nelson. In Nevada, John Ensign. In New Hampshire, Judd Gregg. In North Carolina, Richard Burr. In Ohio, George Voinovich. In Oklahoma, Tom Coburn and James Inhofe. In South Carolina, Jim DeMint and Lindsey Graham. In South Dakota, John Thune. In Tennessee, Lamar Alexander and Bob Corker. In Texas, John Cornyn and Kay Bailey Hutchinson. In Utah, Robert Bennett and Orrin Hatch. And in Wyoming, John Barrasso and Michael Enzi. Please remember these names. These are the people who have stalled health care at this country. These are the people who have watched when day after day, month after month, people go broke, people remain sick, and people even die because they have no health. And I want to assure each one of you who has done anything to obstruct health care reform in this country that people will remember. Maybe not the people who die, but the people who love them, the people whose names I read day after day at our website, namesofthedead.com. And the people whose stories I told day after day. These are people who are gone, but the names, the list grows every single day until we solve this problem. And then, in the end, when we do solve this problem, and it's inevitable, every other industrial country in the entire world has health insurance for everyone. When we do join the ranks of those countries, people are going to remember who made that happen and show kindness and love to them. People are going to remember who blocked it, and they'll show undying hatred. People are going to remember. And you'll remember, too. You'll remember that when the time came for you to do something for your fellow man, to stop the suffering, to stop the hurt, to stop the pain, and to stop the dying, you did nothing or you didn't do enough. You're going to remember that, and you're going to know that blood is on your hands. May God have mercy on your soul. I yield the rest of my time.
The gentleman will suspend. The chair would remind the member to refrain from engaging in personalities toward the Senate or its members. Remarks in debate may include policy criticisms, but may not include personalities.